And the idea of the project goes, and I did have a connection with the FW as a student. At that point, they had, when I was a student, they were mostly focusing, at least involving the community around farm worker housing and getting allocated funding set aside from Washington State to build basically a foundation or grant period, I think, for the farm worker housing. And so we had gone, we took delegations of students to Eastern Washington to see the people living in, the workers living in Columbia River. And it was definitely another point of impact because we met this family who had this daughter that was 10, and they live in tents, and they live along the Columbia River for months. And here she was starting up school, and she comes home to a tent, and I just thought about my life as a 10-year-old. I was bringing my friends home for slumber parties and playing sports and dancing, and it was just really a contrast. And so, but there wasn't any active organizing or involving consumers in organizing the apple industry. And so Lupe Gamboa, along with other allies and friends, they came up with the idea of, why don't we apply this idea of fair trade that we have in coffee to domestic industry with apples, because it is true, and it's true today, that we're losing our agriculture in Washington State, and we're losing the whole culture of farmers. We call them growers because so few of them actually farm their own land anymore. It's the farm workers that do the farm the land, and the growers that own the land. And a lot of farmers were not even making a buck because by the time they take it to processing and the packing houses and the processing, and they end up having to owe the packing sheds. And so we were trying to move forward in this project of developing both deciding whether in Seattle if there was a consumer need, what people were willing to pay, and then they hired on people that were working in Eastern Washington to try to figure out, can we make allies with farmers, people that up until now have been, basically our adversary. Can we find common ground? Or can they get past their racism to see that they have more in common with these farm workers than with the retailers and with the folks that are squeezing them, And it was really, that's the real issue, is it comes down to racism. And because these farm workers, a lot of them were farmers in their own country. They already went through this, where basically no one can make, people that grow mayorga or cafe, they can't make a buck. They had to give up their business. And it's, now, probably in the hands of very few people in Mexico about who is able to, and it's all about, because people can sell, but the ones that make the money were the ones in the processing plants and distribution. And so, the same thing is being repeated, and rather than look at their brown brother and realize, oh, they probably know a lot about this, they've already gone through this, they see them, as like, it's that whole capitalism in the United States, right? I'm better than this person, and the reason why you treat them so bad is because you're being treated bad yourself, but you're not willing to necessarily make that barrier. But what was so exciting about that project is that we were able to make gains. We did have farmers that were in conversation with us, that were willing to partner with us on this project. We had consultants working with us in terms of how to market this, how do we build support. It still is a very exciting project.